Hello everyone, welcome back. It's great to have you here. Today I'm going to be talking about probably my favorite aspect of linguistics as a whole, and that is inflectional morphology. Though, more specifically, I'm going to be talking about nominal inflection. I would go as far as to say that the majority of languages here on Earth have some form of inflection, whether it appear on nouns, verbs, adjectives, whatever. Though some are just belligerent to the fact that it's really cool. Mandarin lacks any inflection, and English lacks nominal inflection. Inflection can appear on nouns to account for a great deal of different aspects. These include accounting for number, case, respect, and gender. Now, a quick side note here. People tend to be appalled by the idea of a gender system within a language, which is perfectly reasonable, as by today's standards they are seen as blatantly sexist. But they don't quite understand what it means in the context of a language. In fact, many languages' system of gender is not even related to gender at all. Many languages in Africa and other places have gender systems that talk about things like human versus animal versus nature, animate versus inanimate, and the list goes on. As far as I could tell, the reason it's even called a gender system in the first place is explained by the predecessor to the majority of Indian and European languages, Proto-Indo-European, also known as PIE. PIE had a gender system that corresponds to the biological sex and passed that feature down through Latin, Greek, and Sanskrit. Though the culture that PIE belonged to was a sexist society and had a gender system, that doesn't pardon other languages without one. Chinese has no gender system embedded in their language, but that does not mean that they didn't have an incredibly patriarchal society. Far from it, actually. An ancient Egyptian had two grammatical genders, but they were actually quite equal across both genders for that time period. Anyway, tangent over. Back to nouns.
Finally!
Today I'm going to talk about noun case. Noun case, as I would describe it, is basically the way you change nouns depending on the context of the situation in which it appears. English doesn't really have it, except for in the pronouns. Think, she punched her, and when indicating possession, though it's more of a particle. Now, since my average viewer is probably American who solely speaks English, I'm going to solely use non-English examples. To do this, I'll use mainly Finnish examples since it has 15 noun cases, and since I've already been studying it for just a bit. And also because its endings are quite consistent. Finnish has many cases, these ones, which I think will be used to better illustrate the significance of nominal inflection in language. I'll start off with some more basic examples. The basic and default case in Finnish, and in many languages, is the nominative case, which takes no ending with the exception of pronouns. Here's an example. The dog speaks. Koira puhuu. Pardon my horrible pronunciation. This is the nominative case, which means that it is the subject of the verb, or in other words, it's doing the action. The nominative case is also used in sentences such as, the dog ran, the individual has not yet told us what gender they belong to, so we can't use any pronouns but they for the time being because we wholeheartedly support their gender identity and would not like to misgender them, punch the man. Now what do we do? The subject of the sentence is more than one word. Well, let me tell you that I have no idea. Let's Google it! Well, to make it simpler, I could string two nouns together. The grower of beards punched the man. In this instance, we can use a syntactical phenomena known as gerund. This essentially turns a verb into a noun using the verb's present participle. It's ing in English. Surprisingly enough, I could not actually find what to do in this instance in Finnish, but I'll keep looking and deliver the answer in another video sometime in the future. So future Brian here. I put this question on r/learnfinnish and got a reply almost immediately. A big thanks to slightly off topic, and /DaxD for giving me an answer. What they said was that I just have the whole title as a normal sentence. Accusative case. The accusative case is a case that highlights the direct object. Unfortunately, Finnish has two types of accusative case and two different endings, one for the nominative accusative and the other for the genitive accusative. I won't pretend to understand the distinction, but whatever. As this is atypical, I'll use the Finnish pronouns as they are widely considered to have the only true accusative case. Example: the dog eats her/him. Bear with me, translation is koira syö häntä. As I said, the accusative case highlights the direct object of a verb, or in other words, it's the thing that the verb is being done to. Other examples include, the man eats the marathon, the woman runs the macaroni. Shoot. Notice how there can only be an object as long as the verb is transitive. Genitive case. The genitive case is the case used to indicate general relationship, though usually used to indicate possession. Well, now you might be thinking, hey, that sounds like ain't. Shut up. This is my show. The genitive case, as I have said, is the case used to modify another word. The Finnish genitive case ending is normally n. However, my example not only uses a pronoun, which has an atypical genitive ending, but the possessed noun has a possessive suffix to indicate that it is being possessed. I gotta work on finding better examples, but it's just too hard. Example: the dog eats his/her house. Koira syö hänen talonsa. God, my Finnish pronunciation is awful. But don't get too comfortable. The genitive is also used to indicate general relationship, as I have stated earlier. So other sentences that would use the genitive include a block of cheese and a group of dogs, of being the particle of the, alright. Dative case. The dative case is the case that handles every noun that either comes before a preposition or comes before a postposition, or it covers the indirect object. For those of you who don't know what an indirect object is, well, I'll explain it. In this example, I send you my horse. The you is the indirect object because the verb isn't being done to it, the verb is being done to the horse. Unfortunately, Finnish lacks a dative case, so for my example, I'll use Icelandic. An example when used as the indirect object is, I send you my horse, ég sendi þér hestin minn. Since Finnish can eradicate the need for some prepositions, I can use Finnish for this example. While it doesn't have a dative case, it has a bunch of locative cases that I can use instead. Example when replacing prepositions/postpositions. I live in the house. Asun talossa. Though my Finnish example is not very similar to how other languages do it, as languages with only a dative case for these instances still require prepositions to clarify meaning. Other sentences that would also use the dative case include, I gave her the book and I threw the ball at him. Locative. This is the last case that I'm going to cover in this video of the basic noun cases, and to give this example, I'm going to use Sanskrit. So, the locative case is kind of a subcategory of the dative case, in that it is used on any noun that is there to communicate location. It is used to show that something is in/on/at/by something else. Basically, if you want to convey anything that has to do with location, the locative case is your guy. Example, Rama is in the forest. I'm using Sanskrit for this example, in case I didn't already say. Rama is in the forest. Rama vane vashati. I think that's how you say it. I'm actually not sure. Other sentences that would use the locative case include, he is in the car, she is by the table. Alright, obviously I didn't go over every noun case, but those were just the basic ones. If you're interested in more things relating to nominal inflection, there are a lot of great works you can check out. Thanks for watching.